Thanks so much, and thank you all for attending. I know at this point in the year, you're probably feeling a little bit tired and struggling to take in any new information, but I promise I'll try and keep this not too complicated. I've tried to do some practical applications of Hihaho and how you might then use them in your own life experience. But yeah, hopefully you learned something today. So I have now been teaching for 7 years, and I teach across A-level business and economics, and I teach both the linear courses, so the 100% exams, and I also teach on the vocational courses. And it's really interesting to see the different types of students that I come across, and knowing that I have to engage with them in slightly different ways because obviously their mindset, some are really excellent at remembering information and putting that down in an exam. Some clearly don't have that ability or haven't mastered that ability. So we're working on the coursework where they slowly apply new information. I completed my master's, as Genta already told you, and now I am starting my PhD. Still haven't quite refined what I want to look at, but I know it's definitely something along the lines of assessment methods and whether we're preparing learners for life beyond college or education. I've personally just fallen out of love with 100% exam and 100% coursework. So finding some kind of new medium and a range of assessments is kind of my passion at the moment. And that's just a picture of me with my boss saying to always find yourself someone who aids and encourages your innovation. Find like-minded people that want to try new things. The fact that you guys have signed up to this presentation means that you're already in the mindset that you want to try something new. And now it's about branching out and finding other people that want to explore that with you. So today, I'm hoping that you will learn how to support content delivery. Sometimes there's quite a lot of pressure on us as teachers, particularly when we are doing school or college-based work, that we feel that we have to just smash through the specification. We have to deliver all the content, otherwise our students aren't going to know everything ready for the exam. And sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to provide all that information, whereas actually Hihaho can relieve some of that. And I'm hoping that you'll see how we can apply that in a lesson. Also looking at how to develop independent study. This was a real learning curve for me when I kind of stepped away from A-level and into vocational, is that I had to embrace the silence in my classroom because students didn't want me to stand at the front and deliver for the whole lesson. They wanted me to do a little bit of delivery and then they go off and do their own research and apply it to their coursework. And I'm now at a point where I know silence is golden and that's when they are actually working rather than just listening to me. And then looking at how we can use the statistics to monitor student progression. Now, this is a quote from Hihaho that I really liked, and I certainly think that it kind of matched how I feel. I'm quite a global learner, so I need to see kind of the end product and then begin to break down the elements. And I have to be doing something. I need a little bit of knowledge, and then I go away and do, and then I get a bit more knowledge. So Hihaho believe in doing, and that there's no better classroom experience than classroom than real world experience. That is such a powerful statement. We can have the best academic mindset, but actually once we're out in that real world, we need to know how to apply these skills and how to develop ourselves. So this Hihaho, we are looking at, this is kind of the basic steps that we'll go through. So we'll select or we'll upload a video, we'll make our video interactive, we'll share that interactive video and we'll measure the results. So I've tried to tie in my learning objectives with the various stages of kind of how you complete your Hihaho journey. And this is some of their core values. So ease of use, accessibility, confidence, vision, and growth. We as teachers get thrown lots of new wonderful tools every year, and we're meant to be able to throw them into our classroom and have wonderful delivery every single lesson. It just doesn't happen. We run out of time. We don't get given the capacity to learn new things or new products that we need to be able to have them easy to use if it's something that we're expected to adopt. Hihaho is easy. There is a bit of a starting hurdle, and I'll explain the kind of journey that I went through, but it is fairly easy to use once you're in the swing of it. Accessibility as well. I think this has different meanings, but for me, we have 4,000 learners at the college I teach at, and we can't discriminate against what type of device a learner has, because we have some that are sharing a laptop with their mum and others who have got the latest MacBook Pro. So the really nice thing about Hihaho is because it's a cloud-based platform, it works across all devices, all the way down to on your phone as well, which is good. Confidence. I know many teachers that I work with that want to try all this new fantastic stuff, but actually don't know if they'll get it right. And we get really worried that we try something in class, and if it's a flop, are we going to be able to regain the confidence of our learners as well? So sometimes having this kind of situation is nice, working with just a teacher and showing off the stuff before a lesson. That's also quite a positive thing, and goes back to that quote that I had at the beginning, where find someone that's like-minded, find someone that's happy to give up 10 minutes of their time to see and check if your video works, so that you know going into your classroom you are confident in delivering that. Having a vision. Hihaho challenged me on this one. I know what I want sometimes, but I'm not very good at getting started. And there's quite nice prompts within the platform that kind of give you an idea of how you might structure your interactive video. And growth, we're always growing, otherwise we wouldn't be teachers. I think the beautiful thing about teaching is that you do get to start fresh every year. Come September, or whenever your new schooling year starts, I always get butterflies about seeing my new students. But what we also see that as is an opportunity to try new things. We can forget what happened last year. We can forget about that lesson that we were embarrassed about, and we can come back and we start fresh with these new little faces and try some new things out. So Hihaho, the best way to explain it is basically you have a video that either already exists or that you have created, and then you are adding layers to those videos. So a bit like when we were first getting our heads around presentations like PowerPoint presentations or Google Slides, you can make your video talk to other parts of the video, or you can add questions on top of the video, but it works in this layered system. So you add interactions that viewers then engage with, and that's what builds up those statistics that we'll look at later. You can have your video start at one point and then jump to another section. So a bit like on a presentation, if you want to go to a specific slide, you can hyperlink to that. The videos kind of work in the same way on Hihaho. And I put here, you certainly won't be creating classics. You're not going to be creating the next Jurassic Park. In this video where you can make it more interactive and make it more engaging, actually you come away and you're surprisingly proud of yourself. The learners, they will find it better than just a standard video, I promise. So yeah, we're learning how to layer our videos. So this is kind of how this, when you first log into Hihaho and you're all signed up, this is like your Hihaho. And everyone who signs up gets an introductory video in there and in your account, and it just kind of shows you some of the tips to get started, really. There's also this knowledge base. I think the button might be called support at the moment, but I know it's changing to knowledge base. And that's a really handy kind of FAQ section. So if there's something that pops up, or if there's something you'd like to try in your video, you can type it into knowledge base and see if there's any instructions on how to do it. So you can see I've already built up a nice little bank of videos here. They're not all mine. I haven't gone nuts. But you get your introductory video that sits in there at all times, and I can access that at any point. But these are some of the videos that I have also created and played with, and I'll show you what I plan to do a little bit further today. So my experience so far, before I get into anything, I have to say that my experience with Hihaho has been amazing. Everyone, you can tell, is super passionate about the product. We had like an introductory panel meeting, and like I was on this meeting with the CCO, of Hihaho, which not very often will you get the CCO give up time to actually be with you. And it wasn't a short meeting, it was like an hour long. He was so passionate, it was unreal. I then got put onto a training session as well, which again was like 2 hours long. They went through every part of Hihaho. I was learning all the techniques. I was a little naughty because I was meant to do an assignment and I ran out of time. But I was able to get that support, and to have a platform that's willing to support you to that level of detail is insane. And it is an excellent platform. I do like using videos in my lessons. I don't like showing them as a class. I know some of you responded that you use a mixture. So sometimes you'll show your video to everybody, or sometimes you'll use them just on a one-to-one basis. I can't have videos on as a class. My students zone out. So having the ability to make a video interactive and still know that this platform wants to grow and introduce new interactions and new statistic analysis is really, really lovely. Okay, so to start with, we're going to go with how to develop independent study. Now we're just going to go straight onto the platform, but I'll let you know what I've done at each stage. Okay. So the first thing I did was, this is a video that I have had to create because we are moving to remote teaching next week. And some of our teachers need reminding of some of the Google Meet features. So I decided to record myself and do it so that teachers can access this at any point. And this can be used by your students. Okay, obviously I'm doing it for adult learners, I suppose. They are learning technology. But they can study this video at their own pace. They can pause it, they can rewind. It's something that they can do without me having to repeat myself 300 times to every member of staff. And actually, even this morning, I had an email from a member of staff saying, "Oh, I've watched your videos a few times, but now I've lost it. Can you resend me the link?" So clearly people are engaging with it, which is very nice. So I decided to add in a menu. Let me just go back for a second. So you see here, I've got all my different possible interactions. So I can do a question, pause screen, scroll text, add in an image. Oh, there's obviously a new feature that I haven't played with yet, so one that's still in development. See what I mean? Like it's changing all the time. So my first thing I wanted to play with was a menu. And the reason why I decided to put a menu in was I wanted teachers to be able to jump to different points in the video in case they were already confident in some of the aspects of Google Meet. And I started by having this menu at the beginning of my video, but what I found is that the menu, I hadn't timed it right. So the menu would come up and then it meant that they would miss my little introduction. So what I thought might be better was actually, well, I'll put the menu at the end so that if they want to repeat any specific sections of the video, they can. So I clicked on menu, and then you start with just a blank menu item. You come up with one and you add in the language that you would like to have in there. So my first feature that I explain is change your background. And then you have these different actions. So it may be that your menu hyperlinks to somewhere, so to another website. It may be that you want them to just jump to the end of the video, jump to the next interaction. So there's lots of selection or variety of actions you can do. I went to a specific time, so it's going to take them to 10 seconds into the video. And you can see here you've got your timeline that helps you kind of assess where you need your jump to go. If you do a video that you have created and uploaded, just be prepared to listen to yourself multiple times. If you're not comfortable in hearing your own voice back, then you're probably not going to enjoy this option. So I kept adding my new menus. You can then choose where you want the menu to be placed. So in the middle, on the left-hand side, you can see that it changes its look. You can have the menu numbered, the option to close the menu or not, and then you can choose to have the menu button present throughout the video. Now, if any of you are also on the Google platform, you have probably got into a very bad habit of not saving anything you do because it saves automatically. So you have to make sure you press save. Otherwise, the changes on your interaction won't take place. So you click save, and then you'll see.
So I'm going to talk you through some of the new features on Google Meet, just getting us.
So that was the menu. Then the next thing I decided to do was add some text. And again, I did this so that people could choose to jump through the video so they could see what I was talking about, basically. So for this, I chose the part of my video, so I was listening through. So there's a specific part that I know I would like to add some text to. So at 6:27, I start going on about something else. Okay, so Q&A is my next feature, and I want to make sure that I highlight this is the next thing I'm talking about. So I found the timing in my video, and then I'm going to select text. Okay, now this text here basically matches up with titling your interactions. And I would suggest that it's really important that you title your interactions, because if you're going to have 20 different rounds of texts featuring in your video, it's going to get very confusing what one you're working on. So for this, we are going to title it Q&A. And nobody sees that apart from me. It's just so that I know that that's my Q&A text interaction. You can click your text box and move it wherever you see fit. So I've kind of been going with a theme of just having them up the top. You can change your font. A huge selection of fonts. I don't know how you pronounce this one, but I always quite like Trebuchet. You can change the color, and then you simply type in what it is they're going to be watching. You can have an action attached to the text as well, so it gets really funky. You can begin to make interactions on top of interactions. That kind of blew my mind a little bit, and that one is something that I think you just have to kind of sit and play, and you'll get more confident on doing that. You can resize your text box if you wanted a background, and then yeah, you can change the background color if you see fit. I want mine transparent so that my background is still present. And then we have to make sure that we save it. Now, right now it's saying that my text is going to appear for 10 seconds. You see here I've got 6:28 until 6:38. I don't really want it to appear for that long, so I'm probably just going to take it to like 6:30. So it'll be up for a couple of seconds and then it will disappear. So you can just type in the time that you want the box available for, and then you hit save. Okay, and now my new text has appeared. I wanted to add another one as well, and then I should be able to show you the complete thing. Okay, so again, I'm onto a new feature, click my text, I'm going to title it Raise Hand. I'm going to go again for the same, make it purple, Trebuchet, type in Raise Hand, move my text box, have it just present for a couple of seconds. So I'll have it till like 8:01 maybe, and then hit save. Okay, so that for me, that I can see all the different timings I've got my interactions on for, and this is where I've named all my different interactions. You've got your interactions all present, and you can see like by the end of it, actually it's so quick to get your text feature functioning, to add in your timings. You don't even begin to think about that then. You become quite confident in getting that done. So that was a video that I had uploaded. What you can also do is, if we go back to my Hihaho, you can also choose a video that already exists. And you do that by clicking on New Interactive Video. And this is where I uploaded my video. So I was able to just click upload your video, and then I could drag and drop the file, or I could upload. But look at all of these platforms that you can choose your videos from as well. So I think somebody in the questions beforehand said that they use Vimeo quite a lot. I think I maybe heard of Vimeo, but certainly not for a while. Haven't even heard of these other platforms, but they must have a huge bank that's available to use. Obviously, YouTube is probably the classic, and you can type in any keyword, and what it does is brings up loads of suggestions of videos that already exist on YouTube. Okay, you don't have to worry about making a video, you can use something that already exists. And what's nice about that is what I find sometimes is I want to use a video in class, but economics is it's a tricky subject because they probably haven't done it at school. And the videos sometimes are quite intense. So they use language that students aren't necessarily comfortable with, or they're talking about American economics, which obviously doesn't apply to the UK. So I sometimes really struggle to find an appropriate video. And what I found is that using Hihaho means I can choose a video that is then and then make it more specific to what I want my learners to understand. So the one that I selected is this aggregate supply. So this aggregate supply video, and I uploaded it in like just by selecting it from YouTube. Now my students love this guy, but you can already tell from the board that there's a lot of information that's happening on there. And so I just want to highlight what my students should really be knowing. But what I found is that the video doesn't it starts with like quite a lot of waffle, and my students, if it's not getting going straight away, they will zone out. So by clicking the settings cog and going to settings and then going to advanced, you can actually mess around with the length of the video itself. So if it was like, okay, this video is great, but it's actually only the middle 3 minutes that are worthwhile showing, you can choose to just cut the video down, and that's the only bit that you would begin to edit. I found that it was about 48 seconds in that he started saying stuff that was worthwhile to my students, and the rest of the video was worth it. So you can toggle around, and then you just have to make sure that you hit save. Again, it's a very bad habit that I've got into by not pressing save. So make sure you're pressing that all the time. So this is here. We can edit the settings of the video. Now with this one, I also made a multiple choice question. So you can see it flags up on my interactions with a little question mark. And when you do your questions, so you find the timing, you find the timing that you want. So I'm going to be typing in another one. I think when I listened to this, it was about 4:42 that I wanted a new question present. So I find my time on the timeline, and then I'm going to hit question. There's 4 different types at the moment, but knowing Hihaho, there's probably going to be a whole manner of different types of questions that we added. You can do multiple choice, whereby there's only one right answer. Do multiple response, so like a checkbox, so maybe there's more than one right answer. You can do an entry question, so it's quite basic. It might be like just a few words or a sentence at most. And then you can do an open question. So if you are working on like essay technique, then it might be a really handy thing to use this open question. And then as the teacher, we get a report at the end for what the students have written in. So I'm going to go for an entry question at this point. And basically the video was saying about why in the classical model of long run aggregate supply, is it a vertical line? So I'm going to type that question in, Why is the LRAS a vertical, ooh, vertical line in the classical model? Like I told you, the economics content isn't exactly exciting, is it? And this is because the economy produces this output at any price level. Okay, so you can put in a response and you can put in feedback if you'd like, or if they've got it correct, then they will do like a generic bit of feedback, so it'll say like, well done or excellent work. I quite like the random ones, they're quite uplifting. And again, look, you can put some nice actions in there too. So you could put a score screen, so saying like how many points they got. You can just have the video continue playing at a specific time. You can jump to the start of the video, the end, or to a link. So I just want to continue playing. You can put an incorrect answer. So as production are fixed. So I'm just going to put in kind of any response there. Again, you can put continue playing. You can add in more answers, so more incorrect answers that your students might put in. You could have an image that pops up. And then here you can choose to have a feedback screen. So it'll pop up and say, well done. You can enable the color. So if it was correct, then it will pop up green. If it's wrong, it will go red. And you can also have a feedback title. So you can choose to put some feedback in, you can put a sound in, or like I say, you can let Hihaho do the magic for you. We save that, and then it will pop up mid-video, and the students will simply type in their response and submit their answer. And then we get a report at the end of that to say what the students wrote. Here you can just check the timings again. So I said it was 4:42 that I wanted it present. 39 milliseconds might make a difference. So actually I can just delete those and change that timing a little bit. I like how much control you have over these timings. I like that you can see down to the millisecond. And it does mean that you probably get a little bit over the top when it comes to making sure that everything is perfect. I wouldn't stress about that so much. Like students definitely aren't paying attention to the millisecond that your question hovers for. But obviously for our peace of mind, you can be as detailed as you like. So you got a multiple choice question or an entry question like we went for. We've then got a hotspot. Now I think this is a pretty funky feature. So in the video, we're not talking about very exciting things. We are talking about aggregate supply in an economy. And the video goes into a lot of detail.
In the classical model, you can have short-run aggregate supply and long-run aggregate supply. Short-run aggregate supply looks like this, upward sloping. The position of short-run aggregate supply is determined by costs of production in the economy. If costs of production change...
Here you can see that my multiple choice question, that's popped up, and I can submit my answer for that. But in this, I won't risk the audio just in case it doesn't work. What I can also choose to have is something called a hotspot. So around about, where did I do my first one? Here we go. So you don't need the audio, but he's going through SRAS and kind of explaining what it means. Now, as you can see, I've got my two flashing dots. These are the hotspots. And what it is it's zoning in on an important part of the video that I want to draw my students' attention to. So this is where it really helps with that content delivery. I have put on here that SRAF shifts inwards when there is an increase in the production costs, and on this one it shifts outwards when there's a decrease in the cost of production. These hotspots just draw attention and it expands. And do you remember I said that I struggled to find a video that is talking at the right level for my learners? The hotspots help with this massively. I can now turn what he has said into something that maybe I would have said in class. So it helps the students really understand, well, okay, what is this image showing? If you were delivering it to me as a teacher, what would it actually mean? Okay, so that was the hotspots. Now to create those, you will go to the time in your video, you select your hotspot, and you can see it starts off as a massive dot. You can make it as big or as small as you want. You drag it to what point you want in the video. So we can put mine over, make it a little bit smaller. I can put it over oil price. So I'll put here oil price hotspot, and then you enter in what you want your caption to be. Now I'd probably make your captions like a little bit smaller. You don't necessarily want them to be overwhelming for the video, but you just want to make a point of saying oil price impacts cost of production. Okay, you can change the color. So we might go for a fancy yellow. You can change the background color of your text. So we might go for red. Oh, it's a bit in your face, isn't it? Maybe we should stick with the green theme. Okay, there you go. So we've got green that pops up. You can add an action to it as well. So there's some really funky videos that are like in the bank of Hihaho where a hotspot, you can make them invisible, but people then when they hover over the image, it'll give more detail. Or there's some where it's a hotspot and then when you click on it, it hyperlinks to another part of the video. So there's some really funky things that you can do. But you save those and then again, it's popped up as a little mark. Again, we can be specific with the timing. Do you want it present for 10 seconds? Probably not. I'll probably go for like 5 seconds. So change that timing there. And it's now another interaction. What I also added in, and this was simply because I thought it was cute. He's talking about oil prices again here. I added in a little scrolling text. I thought this is a silly interaction for what it's doing, but again, it just draws focus and it explains something that's in a language that I would say to my students without me having to deliver that to my students. Suddenly, all that pressure of me standing at the front of the class is gone because I've put my voice into that video. Although I'm not saying it verbally, I've used the language that I would say anyway, but it's embedded in this video that the students can go back to time and time and time again. So this is where it really supports that content delivery. So all the interactions we've done a menu, we've done a text, we have uploaded a video, and we've searched the bank of videos. We've done a multiple choice question and an entry question. We've done a hotspot, and we've done a scrolling text. Now this is where the video actually saves by itself. The one time you don't have to click save is for the whole video. It's just the individual interactions. But what we're going to go to now is again my Hihaho. This is kind of like if you ever get stuck, just go back to my Hihaho and you can always figure out where you're meant to be. And on each of the videos, you can see that we've got different options. Now we can preview the video, we can edit it, so go back to that screen mirror on. We can change the settings, but this is the bit we're now interested in, and that's the statistics. Now, when I spoke to a colleague about using videos in class, one of his key things that he was concerned about is, yeah, but students can just jump through right to the end. So what's the point? They're not gaining anything. And actually, yeah, when you embed a video into presentations, you have no idea if students are watching it or if they're literally just clicking through to keep you quiet. So the statistics part of this plays a vital role for monitoring the engagement. What it also does is help us. We will probably play with every interaction going. And this was my big problem to start with, is I had my video, didn't have a clue where to start. There were these different options, but I couldn't for the life of me think what I wanted out of my video. And I was trying to put in every interaction going, and it just looked messy. So sometimes that classic theory of less is more, actually it is the case now. And if you have that creative block, please don't panic. It is just something that you eventually get more comfortable with and going, okay, this is what I need out of this video. This is like, why am I bothering to show this video? Okay, cool. This is what can help me in terms of those interactions. And these statistics help us see what interactions are worthwhile using. So I can see that people answered my multiple choice. I can see what percentage of people who answered it got it correct. I can see how many people interacted with my hotspot and my scrolling text. I can look at the type of devices that this was watched on. So like I said, it's super accessible. I can look at all the different sessions that have been used on this video, and I can download that report as well. So you remember I said if students answer a question, you get a report back on what they've written. You just download that here and you get that report. And it means that you've got evidence to say, look, my students were actively learning. They've done this, they've written this answer. I can mark it. You can give extra feedback rather than just the feedback on the videos. You can do a lot with this because of these statistics. 0% the video was not started. Great. But at this point, I've got a play rate. So 0% of my views means my video has never been watched till the end. So as a teacher, if that stayed at, whatever percent, I would go, okay, hang on, is it because my video is too long that people aren't watching it until the end? Should I look at shorter videos? Do I need to make more interactive stuff the whole way through? So I can improve myself by looking at these statistics and also make the experience better for students. I mean, ultimately, that's the goal of this, right? And I'm speaking from a teacher perspective. I know that in Hihaho, there's a huge bank of people that use these for work training as well. So there's one about like medical waste and teaching you what bin should I put this needle into, for example. So all kinds of training. The point is that the viewer has the best experience. And that's our duty to make sure that we pay attention to this feedback and make things better. So that's your statistics report. So in general, I really love that I can make my videos more specific to my content now. I like that I don't have to worry about making every single video. I can take something that already exists and I can just make it better. So I've worked on other things before, so like a company called Powtoon, and that was actually making your own video. And I was excited by that to start with. I was like, oh, this is time consuming. But actually, Hihaho is now the next step. If I want to create my video, I can. But if I want to take something that's already been done, like economic content, for example, already exists, I can just make it more specific. Amazing. Some videos are more engaging. So passive learning is obviously a no-no for all teachers. Students just sitting there gormlessly listening to us and not taking it in is pointless. So having those multiple choice, having those hotspots that draw their attention, suddenly it makes them have to engage with what's in front of them. The problem that I found though is that it is a cloud-based service. Like I've said to you, we've got 4,000 learners. Not everyone has access to the internet at home. And because this is cloud-based, you do have to be online. And I totally get it. I get that the interactions, that layer system works because it is a cloud, like it's an online thing. But it does mean that you probably couldn't set any of this as homework. It couldn't be self-study outside of the classroom or outside of, wherever it is they come into college or school, which is fine for our learners because they do have study periods. But if you've got year 11 students that have got back-to-back lessons, they might struggle to find time to do this unless it's actually in lesson. I like that you've got access to a huge, huge bank of videos. That's incredible. But this was actually a bit of feedback that I gave to Hihaho, and that was really nice. You know, the platform doesn't have an ego. I said that, well, if students are writing answers for me, how can they remember what they've put? Because I get the report, and unless I share it back with them, or unless I copy each of the responses back to my learners, they don't have a review of what they've written. So I just suggested that actually it might be quite nice that when a student has finished the video, they too get a report for themselves of how they answered each of the questions and how well they did and what score they got. Basically, those interactions that are the entry, the check questions, the open responses, students should be able to review those as well. So obviously the quote at the beginning was all about doing. So I'm kind of passing this over to you now, is that if you would like a little challenge, then get yourself signed up and you can have a go at either uploading your own video or choosing a video from Vimeo or YouTube. Have a go at adding at least 3 interactions, and they can be all the same, or you might try 3 different ones. Then try and make at least one person use the video. And that can be a like-minded person, or I put my email in there as well. So if you'd like to send it to me and you want me to have a play with your video, then I can. And then you can assess the statistics and have a little look through and say, okay, so although Natalie did this, she didn't watch the video till the end. Naughty Natalie, she's not going to get a gold star on her homework. Or can you see, you know, what device I was using it from? And then you can make a judgment, okay, what's the majority of my students? What devices are they using? So obviously you don't have to do this at all. But like I say, I really struggled to get going. And that was because I didn't have any focus. So I'm trying to give you this focus of, you know, give it a go and just start with 3 interactions. Okay. And I'm not on any sort of commission for this, but I was told that they've got like a special education license for teachers and students. So you get your first 5 videos created free, and then from video 6, it's a 50% discount per video made. And I've just popped the link in there so you can go and find out more information about the licenses and everything. Thank you again so much for coming. I know finding an hour out of your day is probably becoming more and more difficult. So I really appreciate each and every one of you being here. Hopefully you gained something from it.